So he still experiences the legacy of slavery? Coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logical Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So I'm a huge fan of Lee Peterson, and I've been a fan of his since I first heard of him nearly 20 years ago. It's been that long. But now I will agree that, he's not the most articulate person in the world, not even remotely. Nobody's going to accuse Lee Peterson of being articulate, but he speaks the truth. And the unarticulated truth will beat the articulated basically articulated nonsense all the time, every time. Now, Lee Peterson is known for bringing on black leftists, these pro-blacks, to speak their view, to give them the opportunity to speak. But he interviewed this guy by the name of what was labeled as a black Democrat, and he claimed that he still experiences the legacy of slavery.
Our religious heritage is rooted in the regrettable experience of slavery.
You used to be enslaved?
Yes, we used to be slaves.
You were a slave at one time?
No, I was not. I was born in the 1950s, so slavery was long gone.
Right.
But I still experience the legacy of slavery.
How?
And the
In
legacy
what way?
of discrimination.
In what way?
When I experience barriers that exist simply because of the color of my skin. Those barriers are still real and they still exist.
So how did you get to APU and do all that, be the dean and do all that if barriers are in your way?
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? That's a miracle. That's a miracle.
Is it possible because they were not there? At least not from the white folks?
That who was not there?
Barriers were not there. It was all in your mind. It's not real.
Oh no, the barriers were there. The barriers are there even now.
Well, first off, the legacy of slavery is an example of race hierarchy, and it fits under a fictitious notion, again, a bunch of nonsense that black people believe that's just simply not true. But anytime I hear people talk about this legacy of slavery, I always ask them, where is the evidence of this? Again, where's the evidence that black people today are still suffering because of any effects of slavery? In order to say this, you have to show me any trait of behavior, any negative trait of behavior that's tied to that. What behavior as black people started doing once we got sold by the white man and they were placed on a slave ship. Black folks were doing this, and they continued to do this behavior, this trait, this negative behavior trait. Once they got off the ship and were sold to the white man, and they continued to do this all throughout history, including once slavery ended, and they continue going on till today. Somebody please name it, show me this trait of behavior that black folks are still exhibiting that has any tie whatsoever to slavery. And they can't, because it's nonsense. It's all BS. But anyway, he claims that he still experienced these barriers because of slavery. Now, this was basically a YouTube short, and I don't know if Lee Peterson actually questioned him on that, but I would have most certainly questioned him on that. What are these barriers? Please explain to me what these barriers is, and I would need you to elaborate to me on what these barriers are, how they still impact you and black folks, and how exactly are they still tied to slavery. And of course, he won't have an answer for it. They never do. This is a perfect example of black fatigue right here. This is the worst type of black fatigue, the black victimhood black fatigue, the one that people are really fed up with the most. And this guy here, he's a typical pro-black that spouts, they arm themselves with all the examples of race hierarchy, and they spout them, but they never arm themselves with the ability to defend it. So when they say it, you can easily destroy the narrative on it. Well, anyway, if you are equipped to do so, anybody who's equipped to destroy that nonsense will rip them apart. And if you watch my videos and you watch my episodes on race hierarchy, you most certainly be able to rip that fool apart, because you can tell all he was going to do was just keep puppeting and repeating everything he's been brainwashed with. And if you would have checked him on him, he wouldn't have answered you. Again, I can tell he was not equipped to defend anything he was saying. But again, like I said, this guy does not experience no damn legacy of slavery. Again, as just Lee Peterson said, he rise to a high position and ranking. So how did you do that? He's like, well, is that funny or whatever? That's because there's no systemic racism in this country. Anyway, y'all, like I said, this is more example of the black fatigue that people are just getting fed up with. And now people are starting to speak up and speak on it. And white folks are starting to stand their ground and stop walking on eggshells around black people. And it's going to get worse and worse, black folks. But this guy's a fool. He's not experiencing no legacy of slavery. And there is no such thing as no legacy of slavery. And as always, y'all, until next time.